Chris Okenvold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As always, it's a pleasure to take over from Brendan Horan, who's just finished speaking, albeit that he did have a bit of a dampener on his own speech towards the end. In fact, you should always avoid raining on your own parade. But I must say, Mr. Speaker, having listened to the speeches as I stand to speak in favour of the minimum wage start-out amendment bill, I have been disappointed to hear the speeches from the other side, because talk about dampening on their own ardour. This should be something that they should support. Why is it that all we hear from Andrew Little, a nice person in every other way, I'm left wondering whether it isn't just paid-up trade unionists who warrant Labor support rather than job seekers, because this is a bill to assist young job seekers. I can well remember, Mr. Speaker, when I got my first job, I was delighted to get a job. It was simply a pretty straightforward one, once a week helping a stallholder pack up his stall. I was delighted to get going. This gets the first rung on the job ladder for young people. This is a bill which addresses real problems and creates real opportunities for people who are not locked in the comfort of being members, paid-up members of a union with Andrew Little and the Labor Party to look after them. This is a great step forward from the unpopular and the unworkable new entrant wage brought in by Labor, a party whose current composition and leadership could also be described as unpopular and unworkable, and they're demonstrating it again in the way they speak about this bill. The new entrant wage they introduced had an abysmal uptake of 2% amongst employers, and that is not good enough. Mr. Speaker, that poor uptake and the 9,000 jobs for young people that were lost, as we heard from Jamie Lee Ross, according to the Department of Labour Research, in 2008, after the Labor Party's move to abolish the youth wage, shows Labor's lack of confidence in our young people and in the dignity of work. The people who go on to this will be getting more money than they would on the benefit. Why does Labor not want them to get more money? I'll tell you why. Because they like people on benefits. They like people on benefits. They like areas that are not doing terribly well. It's most unfortunate. This starting out wage will help inexperienced workers get a foot on the job ladder, helping them set themselves up for a meaningful employment. Everyone of that age on a benefit will be better off in the starting out wage. We heard from Minister Ryle how it will be better for their health. That's a reality. It's not made up. I listened to Holly Walker. I was disappointed that there's some sort of virtue assumed in opposing this bill. It is a very positive bill. It will help the very people that Ms. Walker is espousing to help without helping. She's virtually saying, you're better off being on the benefit, then we can feel sorry for you. The national government is committed to creating an environment that encourages economic growth and employment, Mr. Speaker, both of which this policy actively promotes. But it's not only this bill which promotes a more prosperous and encouraging employment environment. The starting out wage should be seen as part of the wider package of initiatives to help young people into work. These have already been mentioned by other speakers on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. And let's talk about it a little bit more. The 90-day trial period creating more than 13,000 jobs, increased flexibility in the Holidays Act, and goodness knows why that was opposed by Labor. The government raising the minimum wage every year with a balanced approach, and so it goes on. Let me close, Mr. Speaker, by saying that we've heard much hyperbole and uniform negativity from the opposition around this bill. Negativity which reminds me of something they seem to be forgetting. We, as slightly older people, should not be afraid of the ambitious young. We should be encouraging them, and that's what this bill does. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Dr. Megan Woods.
Mr. Speaker, it's disappointing. We